think again, because the reality is that most of us don't really understand our true potential. Actually, the great majority of human beings out there underestimate their potential. And that's something that I have proven to be true. Every single day of my life, I discover new things about myself that I didn't even know that I had the skill on doing. Hey guys, so on this video, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my own personal story as an entrepreneur. Yes, I am an entrepreneur today. Let me tell you something, I wasn't for most of my life. And one of the things that I've learned along the way is that an entrepreneur can actually be made. Because I'm an example of that. I've actually heard other gurus and other people and books say that you're either a purebred entrepreneur or you are not, or you're an employee or you're an executive. I'm gonna disagree with that because I've been myself going through that experience. I could tell you that when I was growing up, I was a little kid that had no ambition. I had no interest of building businesses. I was interested in other things, girls, parties, a bunch of other things. So that was not my thing. Building businesses, I can tell you one thing for sure, was not in my interest. When I was 15 years old, I couldn't care less about making money. You know what I would care? Money coming my way. I was looking for easy ways out and, maybe my parents giving me money and making things easier for me. So I never had that purebred in me. It's something very interesting that I can look at back right now and be like, how did I get to this point? How did I become like this master in building businesses and doing all this stuff? It didn't just happen overnight, right? Well, let me tell you a little bit more about that. When I was like 19 years old, I met this beautiful lady. She's my wife today, still to this age, 13 years married or so. And she was an entrepreneur. And at that point, I was like, great. Now I have a woman that can produce money for me. Even better. That was fantastic, right? I felt like, aside from the fact that I was involved with her, I was in love, then that was just like an extra bonus in my case, right? Believe it or not, I used to think like that, okay? So I hope that my wife doesn't see this video later on. But that's the point, right? This is the reality. Later on, throughout the years, we had kids. I had 3 kids. Still no ambition. I used to have a 9-to-5 job. I used to work on Saturdays, 9 to 5. I hated working on Saturdays, but that's what I had. I produced good money, I did a decent living and, my kids were doing okay and we weren't necessarily missing much and my wife was building a business. So I was happy, right? But around 2013, I started just opening up my eyes a little bit and started seeing, wait a second, maybe this binge watching of House of Cards, binge watching of The Walking Dead might not be beneficial for my future. For some reason, something happened. It's like, I don't know, along the way, there was this little, suddenly. And it was a special moment because I remember I had a friend of mine, my brother-in-law, who's really close, he's still close to me. He approached me and he said, look, how about this opportunity? It's selling on Amazon. And I'm like, interesting. But I'm not an entrepreneur, but I can use some cash flow. I can sure use that. So then I started learning about it. And once I got in love with it and I started opening up my eyes and I started realizing that we do have a very different world that our grandparents would be dying to be a part of. Once I woke up to that and I saw, wait a second, smartphone devices are replacing television. Everybody's carrying them. Communication devices all over. Oh, so I can have a FaceTime call to China in the middle of wherever I'm at, in another side of the planet. Oh, so wait a second, Skype calling. And I started seeing all this interconnected world. That for me was a big aha. And that's when I started saying, you know what? Drop it. I remember I used to play a lot of there's this famous game, Angry Birds, right? Everybody knows Angry Birds. There was another game of the Tomb Raider, I don't know what it was called, on the phone. I dropped everything. I dropped completely everything. And I dedicated into an obsessive learning process. Guys, and when I say obsessive, I mean it, okay? You guys already know me a little bit. I'm very intense. Before I was an entrepreneur, I was obsessed about watching TV shows, playing with my kids, wasting my time, traveling and doing vacation and wasting money. Now I became obsessed about building businesses and building dreams and helping people and making a difference in this planet. So I got really obsessed about it. And I mean, before taking the kids to school, I was up learning. In the shower, I was learning. Lunch hour, I was learning. I was always learning nonstop. I stopped listening to music. I stopped playing. And I mean, completely stopped everything. I would just get home, maybe had dinner with my wife, and then the rest of the night I would just learn, obsessively study until 12 o'clock and 1 a.m. every single day. That's how I became a master. And when I was doing that, I realized that I had a special ability in that area. It's something that just woke up. So why am I telling you guys this story? Because I think it's an interesting story for you guys to mimic a little bit. Because if you think that you don't have a potential to do something, to be a marketer, to talk behind the camera like I'm talking to you guys right now, to write content, to take pictures, to do videos, to create brands or whatever it is, think again. Because the reality is that most of us don't really understand our true potential. Actually, the great majority of human beings out there underestimate their potential. And that's something that I have proven to be true. Every single day of my life, I discover new things about myself that I didn't even know that I had the skill on doing. For example, the other day, I have this client who's a big client that pays us a lot of money on my agency. This client was talking to me about my copywriting skills. And I was like, wait a second, so I have copywriting skills? He wanted to fire his long-term copywriter that he's been paying her thousands of dollars a month because I was so good at that job. So I was like, wait a second, I could even have a source of income from this. I don't want it because it's really difficult to scale that particular aspect. But to give you an idea and an example of how you, along the way, develop skills and realize your true potential. Every single day you get better. And that's what's been happening to me throughout the last several years. Now I am a master in Facebook advertising, in messenger marketing, in Instagram marketing. In 2017, you're not gonna believe this. My clients and myself, we've generated close to $80 million in revenue. Pretty incredible numbers, especially thinking that I've only spent like $2.5 million in Facebook ads in that same period. So when you talk about 4%, investment on ads to get all that money, like advertising budget, what's going on is not something that's been happening before. This is unique, guys. This is special. And if you put the energy behind it, and if you work on becoming an entrepreneur, you will also accomplish greatness. Now, the good news for those of you guys that are still listening to me, those of you guys that are learning from me, is that I'm only getting started. And you guys are only getting started too.